Advice session. My name is Fiona. I'm the Taubmans colour specialist and we are here this evening to talk all things project. So look, it's a fantastic time and I thank you all very much for joining us this evening. It is a fantastic time to be talking projects, considering that, I'm just taking myself off screen here, considering that we are about to embark on a long weekend, given that it's Easter. And I thought, we might shake things up a little bit tonight. We do love to talk about colour, and certainly that's what we're here for. And we are very happy to answer all your questions about colour, but also too, it's the product and the colour that helps to bring your project to life. And I think it's really important. And I know that as you go out this weekend, for me tomorrow, it's going to be baking my traditional hot cross buns with our family and eating copious amounts of chocolate. But then for the rest of the weekend, it's like, okay, what can we do? And it's a fantastic time to tick off some of that painting that you have, been waiting to do, given it's a long weekend. So I'm here for the next half an hour in front of the screen, in front of your screens, to talk all about projects, colour, products, whatever you'd like to know. And it is your opportunity while we're streaming live to pop some questions into the feed, and I will certainly do my very best to answer them for you. I will let you know though, if you do have any images that you're wanting to share with me, if you can hold off until we finish streaming and then pop them into our feed, because unfortunately while we're live, you can't post your images. I don't know why, it's just something that happens via Facebook. And then once we conclude streaming in front of the camera, I'm usually sitting back behind the scenes for the half an hour or so to answer all of your questions, and that's when I can have a look at your images. So as I said, let's begin. We're here to talk about projects. So I'm going to ask you out there, what's your project and how can we help you achieve this? So I thought just to give you an idea of what we can do and how we can assist you via this platform, I'm going to bring, a lot of the questions that get asked around projects to life and do my best to talk you through them and use a project as an example, and then direct you to where you can, because everybody loves to Google this day and age, direct you to our Taubmans website, show you the products that can be used to help you bring your projects to life, show you some useful things like we do have paint calculators, all of that sort of stuff that, if you're sitting down after finishing off your Easter buns and your chocolate and you're kicking back and thinking, okay, I need to do some research, this is the place to come to. So, as I said, some of the most common projects are going to be undertaken during this holiday season, if you like. And so I'm going to talk about how you can start, because I know when people are embarking on a paint journey and specifically as well colour, it can be quite daunting, and it's like, I'm really not sure where to start. I don't know what appeals to me. I don't know what product to use. And, the DIY painting can become sort of a bit of an arduous task, and it's like, okay, we'll get somebody else to do it for me because I don't want to tackle that. But it's not that hard. So I guess, first of all, we're going to talk a project. So work out, what are you wanting to paint? So I'm going to use an example tonight and talk about painting a lounge room and give you some tips. So if you are thinking about, and these tips can sort of transpose into other areas as well. So, we're talking about products, what products to use where and why we would use those products. Certainly some helpful tips to, for example, you're going to paint some doors and trims, do you have, and you want to use a water-based coating, what's already on the doors? So, some tips that can help you, basically bring your projects to life. So as I said, working out what you want to paint, what areas will need painting, what products you'll need, and let's not forget, the right tools that are going to help you achieve that perfect finish. And of course, it wouldn't be live colour advice if we didn't talk colour at some point. So we'll bring up colour, and some more colour. So as I said, let's talk a lounge room. So things to look at. So we're going to embark on painting the lounge room this weekend. Are the areas to be painted in good condition? So, what prep work am I going to need to do prior? Do I need to patch any walls? Thinking about bringing this project to life, are you going to be painting the ceiling as well? Do your doors and trims need painting? And what's on them now? And that's what I just mentioned before. Do you have a water-based or do you have an oil-based coating? And how can we help you understand what exists on your doors and trims? So you can start to see, we're starting to execute a plan. And from that, you can start to then create a shopping list of products that are needed, and the tools, because let's not forget the right tools are needed to bring the project to life, but to help, you're wanting to use the right paintbrush for cutting in, the right roller for applying your paint so that you achieve that fantastic finish. And so they're probably some of the most frequently asked questions or touch points when we're talking about doing a project. So let's just revisit each of those just a little bit more. So I've got some notes here so that I can stay on track. Okay, so your walls. So if they are in good condition, look, it's a simple wash down with sugar soap. What I would recommend is that you read the label of the sugar soap that you're going to use and follow the directions. And then obviously if you've got mold, etc., you're going to want to remove the mold using a bleach solution. Also using a product that we have which is called Mold Action. Then if you're going to, you're looking and you need to feel any imperfections. So might have, the kids may have been playing cricket inside. There's a hole in the wall that you have to patch. So you're going to patch it, and then, preparation is key. And then what happens once you do that? Like, what do you do once you've patched walls? Is it, putting your top coat straight on? Well, no, it's not. You're going to want to use a primer sealer undercoat. And then of course, if you have just extended it, you've put on an extension, you've got brand new gyprock or plasterboard, it's using the correct product. So for patching, for brand new gyprock plasterboard, I'm going to recommend a product which is called Taubmans 3-in-1. It has exceptional filling properties. So when I refer to new gyprock or new plasterboard, that contains tiny little pinholes, and I quite often get asked, how do I stop my walls looking patchy? I've painted it, you get different saturation, different areas. So you've got new gyprock, your walls can be quite porous, so you're wanting to achieve an overall even finish, so that's where your 3-in-1 is going to come into play. So that is a product that you would kick off your project with. So I'm going to share my screen, if I can remember how to do it. Isn't that terrible? Okay, pop myself in the corner. Let's just do this. Share my laptop, pop myself up in the corner, turn that on. Okay, it might go up the top. That's better. Okay, so when we talk products, and unless you've got a notepad and pen with you right now, and you're taking notes, if not, write this down. You want to visit our www.taubmans.com.au. It's our website. Very, very easy to navigate yourself around. So when you get to our website, obviously we'll talk colours, and we've used this quite a lot. This is a great place to come and visit for colours. But this time we're going to talk products, because we're talking about how you can, complete a project. Now the fantastic thing about this menu here is drop-down menu, as you can see. It's got all of your products listed. So I've just talked about preparation. So you can see here it says prep paint. So let's click on that. And the product that I am recommending here, because we're talking about new gyprock, we're talking about if you've had to, fill any holes, etc., you're going to want to use this. This is fantastic. Taubmans 3-in-1. As I said to you, exceptional filling properties. It is just the bee's knees. A great product. Okay. So I'm going to leave that up on the screen for a moment, and then I'm going to move from, so preparation being the key. And preparation is probably one of the things that takes the longest when you're embarking on, a paint project, if you like, but it's the most important. And this product is fantastic. As I said, exceptional filling properties. It's great. You can use it internally and externally as well. So the next thing, once we've done our prep, have a look at your ceiling. Now, I think that if you're going to go to all the trouble to paint and do this project of painting your lounge room, painting the ceiling is critical as well. I think there's nothing nicer than if you're going to introduce some fantastic colour on the wall, having a beautiful, clean, fresh ceiling. And ceiling paint is very important within the project, and it's really important to understand why you'd use a ceiling paint for your ceiling. And the reason being is ceiling paint is a flat paint. And why is it flat? Why do you need flat? You don't want what's called glancing light going across your ceiling. And we've talked about this before too. Maybe I will come back on screen. When you start to look at, and I've been asked this many a times, when you start to look at the varying products and the different sheen levels and why you would use different sheen levels. So a flat product helps to hide imperfections, and it's going to stop your glancing light, if you like, when we're talking about a ceiling. When you go to the other extreme and you go to a gloss product, so going from flat to gloss, the glossier or shinier your product gets, the more imperfections it tends to bring to life. So just bear that one in mind. So that's why we use a flat. Now the beauty of using a ceiling white, but I'm going to give you a little side note, and I'm going to pop myself back up in the corner, and this time we're going to have a look at ceiling paints. Here we go. Ceiling white. I'm going to bring this one up. You can tint this. Most people attribute their ceilings to being white, and we've done that for so many years, and look, there's nothing wrong with that. It can look fantastic, and I mean, I'm a lover of it as well. You know, trends move, and we're starting to see colour really coming into play in interiors, and one of the areas, believe it or not, is that a ceiling is starting to be coloured up. So I know it's no secret, our number one colour that everyone loves is crisp white, and white tends to be one of the most shopped colours when we talk about painting the interior of our home. And it's easy to see why, because white's so easy to live with. You can pair it back with pretty much anything. Very adaptable, stands the test of time, etc., etc. I could go on, but I won't. However, as I said, we're starting to see a shift, and we're seeing a shift of introducing more colour. We're understanding how colour can really help to, you know, change your mood. It can create the most beautiful environments for us. It helps to define a space. And it makes you feel good. And so a coloured ceiling is a fantastic way of injecting colour into your space without it being too much. So anybody that's a little bit nervous about putting a lot of colour in your home, try painting a ceiling. And you don't have to go for bright sort of leery colours. You can go for soft muted colours, and the way colours are going at the moment, and we did have a question earlier, you know, this came from Julia and it was in our feed, and you know, is grey over yet? I know I am over it. And we are seeing a shift moving away from grey, and we're seeing a shift moving towards warmer, softer tones. And if you want to say, you know, and I talk about this, and I've mentioned this, and I think I talked about it last week, you know, grey can be sort of put into 4 categories. You've got a blue grey, quite cool. You've got a green grey, which is a very neutral grey and a very easy, adaptable, and probably one of my most favourite, you know, greys out of the grey family to work with, because I know how well it works, and I know that when you're looking at a grey that has that green undertone, it is going to work with so many other colours. Then you've got a red or a purple based grey, and then you have what seems to be trending at the moment, which is a greige. And so it is a, you know, it can still be defined as a slight grey, but it is a grey that has that brown undertone, hence the name greige. And we are moving in towards those sort of tones. We're moving into softer neutral tones. And when I'm talking about painting your ceiling, some of the new neutrals that we have at the moment, which are things like dusty pink, caramel, and the big one is green. Green is defined as the new neutral. They look fantastic painted on a ceiling. Soft tones, and they can create the most beautiful, I suppose, aesthetic. So that's something to consider. Okay, let me see where we're moving next. So let's go and revisit walls. Now, we touched on preparation, but now we're going to talk about when we paint our walls. So I'm going to go back to products, and this is where it says interior paint. So I'm going to just select that, and I'm going to take you to Endure. And I'm going to leave that up there, and I'm going to talk to this for a moment. So if you've got an older home and you've got imperfections in your walls, you can use Endure. And I would recommend using Endure, but going for the matte finish. And the reason being, as I touched on before, the lesser the sheen level, the more it's going to hide imperfections. So, and especially too, you know, old Queenslanders, things like that, if you've got a very long hall, a matte finish in a long hallway is going to serve a purpose really, really well. Then, you know, standard For me at home here, I'm going to use Endure Low Sheen. Now, don't get me started on why I love Endure so much. There are so many fantastic features and benefits to this product to help you bring your project to life. There's things like what we call, so it's got stain resistance properties. So you can literally scrub your painted finish, like you can scrub your wall, and it's not going to burnish. When we talk about burnishing, they're the shiny patches that you'll see after you've scrubbed your wall. So this will, because of it has stain resistance properties, but because it has what they call NanoGuard technology. So a standard paint film, if you were to put a standard paint film under a microscope, you would see that it has a one size paint particle. Endure, however, has that one size paint particle, but also smaller paint particles that fill the airspace. Creates what they call an interlocking molecular structure, enabling you to scrub. It also has inbuilt mold inhibitors. So this is like in our standard Endure paint. It's just fantastic. It has everything you could want. Endorsed by Sensitive Choice, so anybody that suffers from asthma and allergies, this is the product to go to. Lifetime guarantee. What else does it have? It's just got everything. A really fantastic product. I thoroughly recommend that for your walls. Now, it's really, really important when you're using a fantastic product like this, or any product, to have a look, ensure that you're using the right tools that are going to help you execute, a fantastic result. So ensuring, for something like a low sheen, you're looking at, say, a 10 to 12 mil nap roller, and you're going to want to condition the roller prior to use. What does that mean? So conditioning is, just washing down the roller sleeve, obviously removing any excess water. What that does is it stops any, if there's any loose sort of fiber on the roller, it's going to stop it from then when you roll onto your wall, it's going to stop that from then sticking into your paint and then creating, little specks or little marks in your end result. We don't want that. And the other thing too is all products come with a, how many square meters per litre it's going to cover. So I think your standard coverage can be around about 16 square meters per litre. Obviously that's one coat. So if you're going to do two coats, you're going to get around about 8 square meters per litre, because it's a 2-coat system when you're using something like Endure. But it's also being mindful that I talk about achieving a fantastic result. I get asked all the time about, how do I stop patchiness? So obviously using the right tools, ensuring that if there's any spot priming, etc., that you're using your 3-in-1 to ensure even porosity, which is going to help to give you a beautiful even finish. But it's also too, adequate film build of your product onto the wall is going to help you to achieve that beautiful finish. So if it's saying something like 16 square meters per litre, a 4-litre can, roughly, you're going to get roughly just a standard size, let's say bedroom, with windows and doors included in that, like obviously not painting the windows and doors, but the cutouts allowing for that. So you're not going to get out of a 4-litre can your lounge room, your bathroom, your kitchen and your bedroom. If that's happening, you're spreading it way too thin. You're not ensuring that you have adequate film build, and your product's not going to perform the way you want it to perform for you. I think that's really important. And when you're on this website, in the search engine here, you can, and I'll quickly show you, hang on, I've got all these, just make sure I just get the right mouse. You can search, so just search for paint calculator, and here it is here. And then you can go through all of the motions, whether you've got a small, medium, large, extra large room. It will ask you a few questions, and then that's going to help you to ensure that you can work out exactly how much product you're going to need. Right, okay, I'll come back on to the camera just so that I can go back and ensure that I have the right things on screen when I come back up. So that helps to understand, you're painting your walls. These are the products that I would look for when you're embarking on this project. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is painting your doors and trims. Would you bother painting your doors and trims? Absolutely. If you're going to paint your ceiling, you're going to paint your walls, doors and trims are critical, because you want a really nice, fresh, clean line surrounding your wall color, if you like, especially if you're going to do your doors and trims in white and you've got a really, I'm going to use green again, you've got a beautiful green on the walls. One thing to understand is how the product will perform. I always recommend using a water-based enamel, and the reason being is that it is non-yellowing, extremely hard wearing. Again, it's been endorsed by Sensitive Choice, so for anybody that suffers from asthma and allergies, you can safely use the product. Now I'm going to bring it up on screen. I should pop myself back up in the corner, hopefully. Yes. So this time we are going to have a look at our doors and trims paints. Water-based enamel, here we go. I'm going to click on that. Fantastic product. Now, if you are about, this weekend, you're going to go and paint the doors and trims as part of your project, part of a lounge room project, if you like, it's important to understand what exists on the doors and trims. So if you've got oil-based and then you go and paint water-based straight over the top, it's not necessarily going to be compatible. And by that I mean, once it's dry, you could potentially just scrape it off with your fingernail. So there's a couple of things to do here. I would recommend you do what's called the metho test. So get yourself a dark rag, some methylated spirits, you're saturating the rag in an area with methylated spirits, wiping that onto your door, onto your trim. Now, if the paint comes off and you're looking at your rag and you can see white paint, it's water-based. If nothing's coming off and your door or the paint on your doors and trims is shining up, so to speak, it's oil-based. So don't fear. If it is oil-based, what you need to do is, as I showed you before when we were talking about preparation, go over your doors and trims with 3-in-1. That's going to act as the binding product or the adhesion product. So it's going to allow for your water-based enamel to adhere to that oil-based finish that you already have on your doors and trims. So that's what I would be doing, and that is the product there that I would thoroughly recommend. Very low VOC as well. So that's the volatile organic compounds that are emitted into the air as drying. Now, when drying, I remember when I was a kid and my grandfather, my pop as I used to call him, he would be, painting out one of his rooms, painting out his doors and trims. And back then it was an oil-based product that they used. And that smell would linger, even though the doors and the trims were dry, that smell would linger for months. So that's like your VOC that's just hanging around. We don't want that. Hence, water-based enamel all the way. So that's the product there, everybody. Okay. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about colour, because we've touched on products that are going to help you to achieve your project. Now, colour is really important because the right colour is going to help you achieve that wonderful aesthetic and create that feeling that you want to create within your space. So for a lounge room, there's a few ways you can go. As I mentioned, colouring up your ceiling before, you can certainly do that. If you think, no, I don't want to do that, and there's a lot of people that shy away from colour, but they want to inject a little bit of colour. You could potentially paint a door in your lounge room, a colour that's going to create what we call a hero or a focal point within your space. If you've got a fireplace, a mantle, and then above sort of the fireplace on that chimney sort of area there, you could paint above the mantle a colour, which again creates another focal point or another hero within your space. Feature walls is still a thing. If you choose to paint a wall, and if you are looking to paint a feature wall, I like to use a solid wall. I think it creates more drama. Or use the wall behind the TV. There is nothing nicer than sitting back, looking at TV against a really dark wall. It's just very, very easy on the eye. So that's, a couple of places. There is what we call colour drenching at the moment, is very much on trend. So you can paint all areas in the same colour. So I know some people think, I wouldn't want to do that. Look, it can work really, really well for an area that's small because it can create the illusion of more space. And that colour drenching can work really well with white as well. So you might choose, sorry, I've got something on me. You might choose a soft off-white, if you like, per se. And I've mentioned this colour many times. It's one of our forecast colours. It's called Aria Ivory, a beautiful soft neutral again. You could paint your ceiling in that. You could paint your walls in that. Obviously, we've talked about the products that are associated with the project tonight, ensuring that you've got the right product because each product is fit for purpose. So your ceiling, walls, again, your doors and trims, painting it all in the same color, but the varying products to create the illusion of more space. Because what happens is when you do something like that and you've got a smaller space, your eye sort of looks up and continues over. It doesn't stop where the change of color meets, and it's where the change of color, once the eye looks at that, the eye starts to size up the room, if you like, and you can sort of work out whether it's a small space. The other thing to consider as well, using color to create an illusion, and that may be, so cool colors tend to visually recede. So you can use a cooler toned color again to make your room feel larger. And then the opposite, using a warmer color to make your room advance. So if you've got a large space and you wanted to create that sort of cocooning effect, using a warm tone throughout is going to help to close in that space a little bit. And as I said, create that cocooning, enveloping sort of feel. So warm colors can work that way really, really well. And for a lounge room, there's some beautiful tones that work extremely well, and I'll touch on that in a moment. But the other thing, when you are painting and you're embarking on this project, the perfect weight of color can help to create that wonderful aesthetic. And so there's that, one of the design rules, it's that 60-30-10 principle. So 60% one color, 30% the next, and then 10% an accent color. So you may have 60% of color on your walls, 30% on your, let's say, ceiling and trims, and then that accent color may be where you choose to accentuate color by painting a door. And then the secret to creating a cohesive space, again, is then having repetition, which is another design principle. So it's dressing that space. Perhaps you've got, I'm going to say it again, a green door. Using green, it's continuing that theme going through, when you're dressing your room. So you might have a tan leather lounge, you're going to inject a beautiful green throw, cushions, etc. And now the other thing too is, if you're not sure where to start, and you're finding that color is very, very overwhelming and daunting, what lives within your space? So, do you have some fantastic artwork that you can draw some inspiration from and bring some of the colors that are in the artwork to life? Because that's always a really great place to start. Also too, having a look at what tones exist within your lounge, carpet, things like that, and drawing from that. That helps to bring everything together. And if you're stuck, I would recommend having a look at our latest 2024 colour forecast. And there's a couple of colours that I would recommend, given that it is Easter. And there's a beautiful one here that comes from our Composure collection, and it is called Creamy Chocolate. I think very, very fitting. And for those that are a little bit more sort of game and don't mind a little bit more intensity, you can choose a colour from our Euphoric collection. And the colour down in the corner here is called Melted Chocolate. Very fitting, given that it is Easter. Okay, I seem to have talked quite a lot. Let me just see, I do have a question here from Sonia. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, so you're trying to decide between cotton ball or cotton sheets. Ceiling will be 2.7 metres high and ceiling will be builder's white. What would work best between cotton ball and cotton sheets? So your builder's white is effectively white with a splash of black. But, okay, let me just have a look here. Both very, very light tones. So your cotton ball is perhaps a little brighter, and your cotton sheets has just a little bit more, how do I put it? Cotton ball, slightly brighter, slightly whiter, a cleaner white. Cotton sheets is still a beautiful white, but has just a slight little bit more of an undertone. So given that you're using builder's white, I'd recommend having a look at cotton sheets. I mean, if I were to put the two colours up on the screen, you wouldn't really be able to see much of a difference because of the camera, so it's probably not going to serve much of a purpose me doing that. But I'd have a look at cotton sheets. But what I would do, and this will be my last tip for everybody before we break for the Easter period, and I say this every week, and I swear by this, I think it is fantastic. Get yourself a sample pot of the colours that you're deciding on. Now, when you are in, let's just say Bunnings, you can ask them whether they have what's called a palette liner. So when our paint goes into store on pallets, in between each layer of paint is a large piece of cardboard. And the reason I'm saying to ask them for that is because you're going to want to make, you're going to want to make your sample 1 metre by 1 metre square. I think it's really important when we're starting to play with colour within our own space to just see how it's going to look. So 1 metre by 1 metre square piece of cardboard, brush out 3 coats of the colour that you're looking at. The reason being 3 coats, the first coat's going to aid as an undercoat and the next 2 coats because we're a 2-coat system. So it's going to give you adequate coverage. Then once it's dry, having a look at it in 2 areas. So here is your wall, here is your floor. Putting your sample that you have created up against the wall, but touching the floor. Looking at it in daylight and also looking at it in artificial lighting. So once you've got your lights on of an evening, paying particular attention. If you've got things like beautiful warm timber floor, perhaps you've got a red leather lounge, they're the sorts of things that can influence your color. So really important to understand how the color is going to work within your own environment. Now the other area, Sonia, to try the color is, again, your wall, here's your ceiling, popping your sample up here into the corner so it's touching the ceiling, and that way you're going to see how it's going to work directly sort of under your artificial lighting, but also natural lighting as well. So you're getting to see the best of both worlds, high up and below, and see again how it's going to play and work within your environment. That way, because depending on, the lighting levels that you have, the style of lighting that you have, whether it's a cool daylight, warm light, etc., the degree of your light can also affect your color. So by testing it, having a look at it in varying conditions gives you a true understanding how the color will work within your own environment, and then that basically avoids any disappointment, because white can be a very tricky color and it can play completely differently in a space. So I hope that helps, Sonia. If you would like to know anything further, please pop some more questions into the feed. I'm going to stop streaming, but I will be sitting behind the computer for a further half an hour or so. So that concludes tonight's session. I hope that's helped you all to understand how you can bring your project to life and utilising the wonderful portfolio of products that we have designed to protect and beautify your space, and also showing you where you can find all of this information, because everything is available there. Going to www.taubmans.com.au and going to our website, hovering over the products, and the drop down menu will help to guide you depending on what area you're painting, whether it be ceiling, doors, trims, interior walls, exterior preparation, etc. So it is all there at the touch of a fingertip. So as I always do, happy painting, everybody. I hope everybody has a fantastic Easter, and don't forget about our wonderful melted chocolate and creamy chocolate colours if you're looking for some beautiful warmer tones to warm up that lounge room for that interior project. So until we meet again, everybody, have a fantastic and safe Easter and happy painting, and we will see you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye.